how do you see it playing out between Love and Rodgers?
Well, first of all, I think that it's going to play out with Aaron Rodgers not being Brett Favre and being more of a mentor to Jordan Love than Brett Favre was to him, first of all. Secondly, watching Get Up this morning and seeing a multitude of the guys talk about Aaron Rodgers, I'm fully aware of the fact that he's not going anywhere, that it would be crazy for the Green Bay Packers to trade him from a monetary perspective. They're just on the hook with too much dead cap money. We get the fact that Aaron Rodgers is not going anywhere. The point that I made immediately in the aftermath of the draft that Tony Kornheiser elected to make yesterday is that if you are Aaron Rodgers, that should be your mentality. That should be the level of frustration that you harbor in your soul towards this organization. Let's analyze the ways. You were drafted in 2005. You've been the starter since 2008. This past Thursday was the first time that the Green Bay Packers even drafted an offensive player in the first round since that time, since 2005 when Aaron Rodgers was drafted. You've done nothing to really go out of your way to give him the help that he needs. You've given him money. You've said, here's the franchise. Carry it on your shoulders, even though we've left you bereft of the necessary weapons in order for you to legitimately win a Super Bowl championship. Sure, you can be competitive because you're great. Sure, you can be competitive because you'll minimize the mistakes. You only threw 4 interceptions last year. You haven't thrown double-digit interceptions in years. We get all of that. But the other side to this is what weapons you have available to you. Devontae Adams is really the only guy. You got Valdez-Scantling and these boys. They can play Geronimo Allison and others. You picked up Devin Funchess. I mean, this guy had 3 receptions for like 32 yards in one game that he played last season. He's known as being inconsistent. He can make a spectacular pass 1 minute, drop the next passer. He's been accused of being lazy as a blocker. These are the kind of things people have said about him. I don't know whether they're true or not, but these are the kind of things NFL aficionados have said about him. So essentially what you've done is you've said, Aaron Rodgers, figure out a way to make us productive. And Matt LaFleur, notice I didn't say LaFleur, I said LaFleur, because I'm not going to mess with his name anymore. I found out he was a bit sensitive to that, and I was only playing around. I didn't mean to insult him or his family and his name in any way. It just felt like a Frenchman, so I was playing around. But neither here nor there. In the end, you are the 27th ranked offense as offensive coordinator in Tennessee. You got the job. You were lucky to get the job. And you had no problem taking it because Aaron Rodgers was that guy. And then your first year, after you go 13-3, your defense was buffered, but you got a guy in Aaron Rodgers who's a surefire first ballot future Hall of Famer. You could get him some help, and instead what you do is get his successor. The level of comfort and entitlement, it's like, oh my goodness, let's do this because we're looking ahead 3-4 years down the road. But this brother's 35, 36 years old. He could use that help now. You're not thinking about him at all. That's where the frustration comes from. That's why I have the mentality that I have, and that's why I think Tony Kornheiser said what he said yesterday.
Aaron Rodgers is going to be better to Jordan Love than Brett Favre was to him, but that's not difficult, you wouldn't think. And in fact, it's been reported that Aaron Rodgers made first contact getting in touch with Jordan Love, and that's good for Aaron Rodgers. Also, Jordan Love considered a project means that Aaron Rodgers is not going to have his job taken away this year. But how will it play out? Does LaFleur seem like he really likes Aaron Rodgers? Does he seem that way to Gutekunst or LaFleur seem that way to you?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem that way to me. There was kind of like an underlying sort of public beefing when LaFleur first got the job, and Rodgers was saying things that led you to believe that he wants, the ability to audible more and everything and not playing as structured an offense. And LaFleur has his own ideas. Rodgers, now at his age, and by the way, he's right around the same age Brett Favre was. Jordan Love was taken right around the same pick that Aaron Rodgers was. There are a lot of parallels. But Rodgers is a guy who could make off-schedule plays, as they say in the NFL, and do things physically that no one else really ever has been able to do until Patrick Mahomes has come along and done it. But guys like that sometimes don't age as well as guys who are not as talented and therefore had to develop more technical skill. Their footwork had to be just right, and everything had to be just right in order for them to compete with the super talented athlete type. And Rodgers fits into the super talented athlete type, like the freakish athlete category. So maybe LaFleur's worried about the way he'll age. Also remember, Rodgers last year, little shaky at first, then he reeled off some performances like where halfway through the year we were saying he's in the MVP conversation. But though they finished 13-3, Rodgers did not finish in the MVP conversation. He did not have a good year by his standards, though his team went 13-3. So you think, okay, new head coach, new system, this whole thing. Maybe he needs some time under that to really put up those Rodgers numbers and do incredible things. And so what does he do? He asks for help at wideout. You went over that. They don't draft skills position players, so-called skills position players in the first or second rounds, really. He wanted help at wideout. And what did they do? They got him a backup quarterback that does not improve their odds this year. In fact, the odds for the Packers winning the Super Bowl got worse after the Jordan Love pick. Then they drafted a running back. He finally has a running back. Rodgers, how will it play out? He's less likely now to add a second Super Bowl. A 13-3 team with Rodgers underperforming, it would stand to reason if you got him some weapons, maybe they would improve. How much more can you improve from 13-3? 13-3, 14-2, and a real playoff run. But that's not what just happened. So I think it plays out, Stephen A., most likely without another Rodgers Super Bowl.
Well, listen, it's without another Rodgers Super Bowl, again, because we go back to the reality that you haven't gotten any help. And if you really think about it, you measure the competition that you're going up against. That's your litmus test. You see Seattle, they're still a respectable team. The San Francisco 49ers have arrived. New Orleans has retained Drew Brees. They still got Michael Thomas. They still got Alvin Kamara. You know, the Bucs got Brady and Gronk to go along with Evans and Godwin and Brait and O.J. Howard. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.